Okay, guys, what's happening? Robert here, BP News Channel, once again, live on 5/15/2026. We're going to go through the news like we always do. Fellow minions, Larry says. And it definitely is going down the tubes. Everything is hitting the fan, literally. Yeah. Yeah. And the whole China thing was just a big ritual. I was sitting there thinking to myself, I know in the Asian culture, when they defeat an enemy, they usually like to honor the enemy before they kill them. And I just kind of wonder if that's kind of what we were seeing on the stage there, the global stage, is just kind of an act of, with what we see going on globally, it's only, it ain't going to be China and United States cooperating. I'll tell you that much right now. And if there has been any deals made in the back channels, it's for the leaders, not for the people. You weren't included in that deal. Just kind of reminds me of that scene on the Titanic. Remember when Jack and his rival for Rose's heart, and they were on the edge, and they were watching her go down in the life raft, and he tells her, "Go, Rose, go. It's okay. We've got a deal. We can get the next boat." And he's like, yeah, we got a deal. And they didn't like each other, but they pretended. And then as the boat goes down, he's like, "We don't really have a deal." He goes, "Not that you would benefit from. You ain't got a life raft. Maybe the aristocrats might think they have one, and I don't think they really do anyway. They're not gonna, even if they do escape, they're not gonna." So the whole country is on the brink of sinking right now. And I'm going to show you guys all the news articles that back all this up too. Because if you really just take a little bit of a back, step back a little bit away from everything and kind of view the big picture, you'll begin to see what it really, it's so important to take a step back and look at the big picture, because if you're just looking at one thing here and one thing here, you're not going to see the forest through the trees. You got to be able to see the big picture. So I'm going to show you the big picture here. All right, are you ready? I just want to say hello to everybody before I get into this. Make sure you get connected to our app. The app is one of the most important things we could probably get you to connect with in light of looming censorship and the possibility of outages. Who knows? We can still keep in touch with you through an app. There's going to be other things that still might be working. You always have to have a redundant backup. There's other streaming platforms. If we ever did have to change formats, we would let everybody know directly through a text message or through a push notification from the app, BP News. Go to the Apple Store or the Android Store and download BP News. Get on the app. And also, make sure you hit that donate button while you're there too, because we definitely could use some help in our war fund here. We're on the front lines here with you, standing with you, but we need to forge and open up that path. And many of you guys are with us through prayers, through your sharing of our videos. This is another important thing. Everybody needs to take these videos and put them on their social media. If you got a Facebook page, get it out there on your Facebook page. Share the link. You got a Twitter, you're a person that likes to go to forums, put it on the forum. And let everybody know that this is cutting edge information that you're not going to find on a lot of other channels. The majority of channels do not tell you the things that we do so far in advance. They might tell you after the fact. They might tell you after it hits the fan. But we're letting you know before it hits the fan. We're watching it in slow motion as it's approaching, and we're saying, "Duck!" We're like running for cover duck. And we're telling you guys, get out of the way. Slow motion. Like I said, it's a slow motion train wreck we've been watching for quite some time coming. And we've just been chronicling it play by play, the news before it's news. Alex Jones got that from us. Anyways, let's get into the news, guys. Okay, so you ready? Who is this guy? So let's go down the list of things that I would like to share with you. This guy here, he's chronicling all the, and this is like a friend of mine said this is true. Congress has been doing this for many, many, many years. Insider trading, knowing what's coming, that it's going to affect the markets, and then buying in and buying certain stocks they know are going to go up. Insider trading, it's against the rules. It's against the law. It's corruption to the highest levels. And President Trump is steeped in it up to his eyeballs. This guy right here chronicles everything that's going on because of disclosures that recently had to have been given by Trump. And by the way, this isn't all. This is just when I get into the stuff about Iran here in a minute. Just stay tuned. It's going to blow your socks off. The stuff that's going on with COVID, or the COVID 2.0, right? They're getting prepared. All the digital ID and tracking, and everything that's gone on with all the tech giants and what they're planning. That's why they were all there in China. I don't know if they were trying to schmooze and, and appease the Chinese powers that be, and or manipulate. Who knows? Maybe a stab in the back later on when they're vulnerable. I don't know. But they're there for a reason. And all of that technology that is surveillance, the Chinese love. And we want to be like them, because that's how you get powerful, is when you got compliance. And you don't have checks and balances. You have just raw dictatorial powers. And everybody follows out of fear and or complete and utter worship. One of the two. Or there's going to be those martyrs. That's usually what happens when there's those types of governments. You got a lot of martyrs. But anyway, listen to this. Let's take a listen to see what he had to say here. Very important information. I want you guys to just pay attention, because this is revealing a pattern of character and or how he's going to treat you and how he's going to deal with you. Because he's not telling you what he's really doing. Now, some would say, well, he's investing in America and he's telling you to make money too by investing. He's giving you an inside heads up on things that are going to go up. But I don't know. I think there's actually a little bit of manipulation there that he's not letting everybody know. So maybe we should have, in the interest of full disclosure, let's go ahead and take a listen to what this guy had to say. And this guy, I would encourage everyone to go subscribe to this guy. I know he might be considered to be liberal, but hey, I think he's got great information, and I think everybody should be listening to this guy. Everybody should be listening to everybody that has truth on what's happening. His name is Midas Touch, Meidastoch. Touch. I'm sorry. But check him out. So here we go.
Make public his equity holdings. Donald Trump was forced to make public his equity holdings, his stocks, and his bond holdings for Q1 of 2026, and it is raising major red flags. From January to March of 2026, ethics filings that Donald Trump was compelled to file under the law showed that Donald Trump reported between $220 million and $750 million in securities transactions during these few months, including major trades linked to top U.S. companies and index funds. And many of the CEOs of those companies accompanied Donald Trump on his trip to China. How many transactions did Donald Trump involve himself in Q1? Over 3,800 transactions, and they ranged in size from hundreds of thousands of dollars to transactions that were $5 million to $25 million in transactions, either purchases of sales in companies like Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft. Now, we have those financial disclosures right here. It's on a form called an OGE, Office of Government Ethics 278T. Donald Trump, under the law, was compelled to file 2 of these forms, but they are very long because of the amount of transactions Donald Trump has been involved in. I mean, it's like Donald Trump is a stock trader and a bond dealer. That's how many transactions they are. And so you can go down and you can look at all of these transactions. When it comes to the equities, the stocks, I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of transactions, purchases and sales during Q1, not quite as many when it comes to bonds, but the timing of the purchases and the sales coincide with major world events. And right now, particularly as Donald Trump's leaving China, a lot of these CEOs are the companies that Donald Trump invested in and made huge amounts of money in. So let's go through some of these red flags. I mean, the most glaring is that Trump bought as much as $5 million or more in Nvidia, Oracle, Microsoft, Boeing, and Costco, according to these filings. Trump bought millions in stocks after the Iran war dip.
And by the way, anytime the war was on and then it went off, the stocks would change in reverse course. And every time there seemed to be huge amounts of either put options being bought or big investments right prior to the news breaking. So whoever was making those large purchases had some kind of insider trading knowledge and was making millions, billions of dollars. Anyways, this happened at least 3 or 4 times, and many people said that this was a manipulation of the market for the purpose of making money at the tippy top, not for you and me. It's kind of like saying, hey, American people, especially all my good buddies that are MAGA, I'm going to give you all a $5,000 stimulus check because we've reined in so much corruption and made back so many billions and trillions of dollars with Doge. You know, we've uncovered a massive amount of fraud, so we're going to issue every American a $5,000 check, right? But whoops, we really didn't find all that much. And yeah, I was mad at Elon because he said that he was going to find all this money and it really wasn't there. Maybe that's why Elon was mad at Trump and had a little fallout with him. But hey, they made up, good buddies, somehow another, greasing of the palm behind the scenes when nobody knows or understood what they was going on behind there. But hey, we've got another $2,000 stimulus check for you coming. Don't worry. All that tariff money that we've made billions and billions and trillions of dollars off of the global economy because now we're pushing what should have been pushed under all the other presidents. But Donald Trump is doing it because he's bringing back America. We're rich, rich, rich. The economy is on fire now. Everybody wants to be us now. They're all congratulating Trump for having really come back. You've really done it. Trump, look at this. You got so much money now. You can give all of your citizens a $2,000 check. Where'd that check go? Oh, that never came either. I wonder why. Oh, but hey, we're gonna make sure that the next time we promise you something, it will actually happen. And I'm gonna tell you what. After all the bankruptcies, after all the statements that are being made, it only benefits one way. Remember that. It's hot, hot, hot for those that are in the top, that got the inside scoop and that get a heads up. Not you. You're not getting it. I'm going to tell you what. You're getting it. You know what you're getting? Poor and poor. Yeah, he's got your back all right with a knife. That's what's happening. Okay? So just so you get it, I want to make sure that you're not duped any more than you already have been. Okay? I'm here to help you so you don't get duped any more than you've already been duped. All you Q people out there, all you MAGA people out there, I understand. I was there one time. I'm just trying to help you out. Okay? Here we go. Here's some more.
Systems don't want that to happen because you won't have much.
I would assume I'm in Beijing. If I wanted to buy property near one of their military installations, I don't think President
No,
Xi.
they wouldn't let you. I don't look. It's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop. You want to see farmers lose a lot of money. Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it. They bought a lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it. As far as the students, it's 500,000.
So it's Obama's fault that they bought a bunch of land and there's nothing he can do about it. So he's not really stopping them from buying more, and he's not stopping all those students that are men of fighting age, 500,000 plus Chinese, coming into the country just in case, there's some kind of falling out that we have with China. Well, they've got their men here to, maybe help out at the last minute from within. But Trump says it's a good thing that all of these foreign students are coming in, and not to mention the fact that they're probably a lot smarter in different realms of technologies that we don't and aren't trained for. Remember, Trump said that, and it was a big slap in the face to the American worker because he wants to hire these highly skilled workers from India and China because America doesn't have enough smart people to do these jobs, and they're not trained in these fields. So we got to bring them over, right? Just like we can't make iPhones here. So Trump's iPhone, obviously he took $60 million in deposits from those iPhones that he sold. He doesn't have to even give back the $100 deposits because those iPhones couldn't be made. They said they were making them in America, but they really weren't. They were actually being made in China and assembled in America. And now they're not even going to make good on even giving back your money. You got people on TikTok and on X yelling and screaming about getting their money back and are pissed off at Trump because he stole their money. One guy was yelling and screaming, and he was a Trump supporter, and he looked like he was one of them Trump supporters, all right, in a pickup truck, and he had his Joe Dirt hairstyle, and he had bought 6 of those phones at $100 a pop deposit, and he is livid that he's not getting his money back. He wants his money or his phone. But you know what? That's just what Trump does, and it's okay because Trump's the president, and we all need to thank him for just doing everything for us that he has done. Higher gas prices, higher food prices, war, Epstein file releases, UFO release, JFK. None of that is new. Any of that stuff has already been released anyway. It really wasn't that big of an effect that he has given, right? Do we know anything new? No. Has things gotten better? No. Have they gotten worse? Yes. Much worse? Yes. Yes and yes. And is it going to get worse than it is now? Yes. Is it going to double down, triple down, quadruple down? Yes, it's going to get much worse, and you will see very soon what I'm saying. In fact, I think it's going to be within the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to see war break out, okay? And I'll show you why in just a minute. But let's go ahead and continue to listen to Trump lie to the American people, boldface, and then he kind of sheepishly answers Hannity, and then he bulldozes over Hannity because Hannity has a question, and Trump doesn't like the question because Hannity has a legitimate question about what the American people are actually wondering, but Trump doesn't want to answer that question. So he just kind of bulldozes over, and then he talks about how journalists are stupid, implying that if Hannity even dares to confront him on this interview, he's going to make a public spectacle of him like he always does with everybody else. Right? Isn't that what Trump likes to do? But anyways, you don't cross Trump because he'll just talk you down to the ground. Anyways, here he is.
Students, they come, good students. I could tell them I don't want any students, is a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that, not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And you know, the ones that won't be hurt are the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, they'll be dying all over the place. I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good. Not everybody agrees with me, and it doesn't sound like a very conservative position. And I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative guy. I think MAGA is common sense, you know. People understand we want strong borders, we want strong military, we want good education, we want low interest rates, we want, but
I think people would argue they worry about, do they have nefarious intentions?
Sure, I know, and we worry about that, and honestly, you know, they do things to us and we do things to them. It's a very, very fine line, the whole thing with students. So they have 500,000 students, and our university system does great. You know, it does great. You want to screw it up, take 500,000 students out. And you're gonna see bankruptcies at the lower end of good colleges, but they're not known or whatever. You're gonna have a lot of problems. So it's something I'm always looking at. But it's a very insulting thing to tell a country, we don't want your people in our schools. I mean, it really is. Now, I'll have people say, oh, that's a terrible thing. You know, it is a very insulting thing. And it's very interesting. It's something didn't come up today. Came up last time. But I will tell you that school systems don't want that to happen, because you won't have much of a school system.
All right, Mr.
So basically, he's telling Hannity, he's saying, we can't stop these students from coming over here because our school systems will collapse. Really, there won't be enough money to keep these schools open. We don't have enough people of our own to have the tuitions to afford to keep these schools running. And so we need foreign money and we need foreign students. And we're dependent on China. Not only there, but we're also dependent on China for our farmers. We need them to own land here in America and to buy it all up, all around our military bases. They wouldn't allow that for the U.S. or for Americans to do that in China, but we will allow them to do that here. And Trump's reason is, well, under Obama, you know, he allowed it. So, you know, there's really nothing I can do about it. Oh, really? There's nothing you can do about it? Why don't you get ICE in there? Why don't you get them to extricate them out of those areas around U.S. bases? Because that is a national security threat, don't you think? National security issue, wouldn't you say? Because it is a foreign power, and it is a foreign power that spies on us. But Trump says, oh, no, well, we do the same thing to them. They steal from us. We steal from them. They spy on us. We spy on them. People don't like me saying that here in America, but it's true. I need to say it. Okay, well, as long as they worship you and they make you feel good when you go over there to have your little visit, I guess that's okay, right? The Chinese way and the Asian way in war is honor your enemy before you kill them. Give them a good sending away and make sure you honor them. And I looked that up too, by the way. That's what the samurais would do. And I think the Chinese have that kind of mindset too. But you got to just wonder. The Reese report, really? I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out before we go. Remind me, okay? A-Dub. All right, so let's see. What else we got here? Trump says that U.S. buys and steals from China. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, and this one here is Xi Jinping gave Trump the grand tour of the Temple of Heaven in Beijing. The Temple of Heaven is ancient Chinese is an ancient Chinese largest. The Temple of Heaven is ancient China's largest center for high-level rituals. Instead of, and this goes all the way back to the 1400s, instead of worshiping images, the emperors, acting as the sons of heaven, would use tablets representing heavenly sovereign Shangdi to conduct sacrifices and pray for bountiful harvests. So they would sacrifice animals, bulls, just kind of like the Israelis would do to Yahweh. They would do to their gods. And this was where this was at. And they don't let anybody go in there. In fact, not one president besides Gerald Ford has ever been allowed to go there. So this was a great honor to Trump. And Trump was very enthralled, and especially with the children that were all waving. I don't know if you saw the entourage as they came into China and how Xi Jinping met Trump as he got in, and all the children were waving and jumping around, and they were waving these little flowers. And I mean, it just looked like North Korea on steroids. But Trump loved that. He said that was the greatest thing on his whole trip, was the children going crazy as he came up the little red carpet. So that was an honor, such a great honor. Okay, well, it's being analyzed just now how much honor President Xi is handing President Trump on China's home turf. And 47 could soon return the favor this September. Bill Hemmer says President Xi gave him a personal tour of the Temple of Heaven, which is a revered site in Beijing, one of its most famous, and this was the first as well. Why is President Xi bestowing such honor and respect upon Trump? What political and financial favors are being exchanged here? What happened to all the tough talk guy against China in the past decade? More factories and jobs have been given to China. They are given free rein to buy our farmland. So what happened to America first? Just yet another stab in the back to his supporters, who still blindly follow the Pied Piper while he continues to sell out the country. Great commentary there. Who wrote that? Jerome Powell is now gone. Trump kept saying he wanted him gone. I guess now he's gone. Did Trump fire Jerome, or did he just push him out by intimidation? I don't know, but he's gone. He officially steps down after 8 years as the Federal Reserve chair. Okay, here we go into the COVID 2.0 stuff. The director of the WHO admits that hantavirus outbreak is now being used to push a massive vaccination agenda for children. He says that his safe and effective vaccine is the only way to protect yourself. He is demanding that governments around the world give him more money to expand his vaccination agenda so he can protect the children and the puppy dogs and the kitty cats and the dolphins and the penguins and everything else that just is lovey, is so adorable. We got to make sure we protect them. Wider impact is expected, he said. Wider impact is expected. Let's go ahead and listen to him in his own words.
In addition, we're working with more than 20 countries to coordinate studies to better understand the natural history of the disease. Today, an open scientific consultation on Andes virus medical countermeasures was convened by the UK Health Security Agency and supported by the WHO R&D blueprint to identify gaps, improve coordination, and establish priorities for research and development into potential hantavirus therapeutics and vaccines. The importance of vaccines for protecting health cannot be underestimated. New findings on the RTSS malaria vaccine generated through the WHO Malaria Vaccine Implementation Program confirmed that 1 in 8 child deaths were averted among those eligible to receive the vaccine in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi from 2019 to 2023. WHO recommended malaria vaccines are now available in 25 countries in Africa, and wider impact is expected. But funding constraints continue to limit the abilities of many countries to scale up to meet national vaccination targets. Equitable access and increased and sustained financing of immunization programs are needed to protect children and save lives.
Okay. Well, there you go, right from the horse's mouth there. And by the way, countries like the U.S. have actually ceded their sovereignty when it comes to global health concerns. And this was something that had happened a while back, even though Trump made it seem that we pulled out of the World Health Organization and stopped funding it. We actually really didn't. It was kind of a head fake. Remember, during Trump administration 1, we did pull out of the WHO for a short time and put all that money that we were giving to them into Gavi, which was no different. In fact, they tripled down. They gave 3 times as much as they were giving to World Health Organization, and they diverted it to Gavi as if we were no longer globalists and we were no longer behind the whole terrible thing that MAGA said was a bad thing. But Gavi was even worse than the World Health Organization. It's a Bill Gates Foundation collaborator. In fact, it's something that is probably one and the same as Bill Gates's organization to bring vaccinations to the whole world. So all we did was just a shell game of taking money from World Health Organization and send it to Gavi. But now we've come back all the way back around, and now we're submitted back again as the U.S. is now given its sovereignty in this realm. If there ever is an international emergency, once again, like COVID, we would have to be subject to their laws. And many countries have signed on to this World Health Organization governance. The EU pushes single train flight tickets that are linked to digital ID, a QR system tying travel to your identity with potential controls based on carbon limits, vaccines, or wrong tweets. So if you're not a good citizen, this is basically a social credit score that China now has implemented in their whole digital tracking and tracing of their citizens, their surveillance. And many people say, well, they're surveilling their country the way they're doing with everything right now as a model for governments around the world. And they began this implementation during COVID. They were the only country that basically locked their people down digitally. And it was horrendous to watch. But, you know, countries around the world, including the U.S., and I believe Trump, were in awe of this ability to control the narrative and also health, right? This was all about health. This was all about controlling and stopping by that tracing. What they call it? I forget what they called it, but basically they traced you through your cell phone activity and also through facial recognition. Wherever you were at, if you happened to be in a place that was infected, well, then you were automatically hunted down and brought into isolation because you were a threat biologically to the rest of the world. And so your cell phone put you in the place where there was an outbreak and they needed to go to your house and forcibly take you and put you into an isolation. I remember videos where people were kicking and screaming while men completely dressed in PPE from head to toe would come in, and it looked like a biohazard suit, would come in and take people kicking and screaming, hands, feet in the air, 5 guys on them, taking them to throw them into a van to take them to a place where they could isolate them so they wouldn't be contagious to others. Could we be seeing the same type of thing coming to the U.S.? Because now they're implementing the same types of digital controls and surveillance through cameras and everything else. And it's only increasing with AI's ability to bring all this together. Whether it's the 5G going into 6 and the nanotech and this is another thing we're going to talk about here just in a minute, is the nanotech. Catherine Austin Fitz is going to be sharing something here on that in just a minute. But anyways, this is all coming down to the wire here with everybody. It's like I said, a digital a perfect storm of digital and nanotech and mark of the beast technology like you've never seen before. I'm just taking Trump's words. You've never seen this before. It's never happened. Unprecedented. The biggest thing that's ever happened since Jesus' advent and his warnings about the end times. It's happening now. The European Digital Identity, or the EUDI wallet, has entered its final implementation phase for 2026. So Europe is now following the pattern of China. The EUDI, and we're soon to follow too. The U.S. is coming right behind. Don't you worry about that. It's coming to U.S. as well. The EUDI is designed to integrate identity, professional credentials, and crucially financial accounts into a single inoperable node. This is the precursor for the digital euro. By tying digital ID to programmable money, the EU is building the rail for the fiscal dominance where tax collection, subsidies, and green consumption limits can be forced at the protocol level. So basically, they're going to be tracking all of your carbon emissions as well. And you're going to be given credits or you're going to be in debt, right? You're going to have to pay the piper for doing too much travel, or who knows, having a cow. If you're a person that's a farmer, I mean, you've got all these digital tracking of all the food now too. They're literally tracking every nanoparticle, the way things are going. And when you really look into this nanotech, you'll be surprised at what they're going to be tracking. I mean, literally every ear of corn they're going to track, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing what they can do with this technology. The tech world, this is von der Leyen, said that the tech world must adopt COVID digital ID system. The entire tech world must now adopt the EU's COVID ID system to verify users' ages. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said, and I believe she's the president of the EU, right? She's the woman that runs the whole EU thing. So she's telling the whole of the EU they must adopt this, and not just the EU, but the whole world. The whole tech world must follow suit with what they are implementing in the EU. And really, this is the model of China. This is the model of China being implemented now in the West. And this is why COVID was released in the first place. And I say released because I don't think it was just by accident. And I think the second round is just going to seal the deal, and it's going to push the enforcement and the fear and everything else that's going to cause it to be facilitated and brought into, being, and have people comply, right? That's how you get them to comply. Just put a bunch of fear and chaos and death, and everybody will go along. Because you don't want to kill grandma, do you? You don't want to be one of those ones that is killing everybody by not getting vaccinated. I always wondered about that whole argument. Like, hey, if you're vaccinated, then you're protected against me, right? Why are you angry at me? I didn't get vaccinated. You're worried you're going to die from me not taking it? Well, then your vaccine doesn't work, right? But yeah, they were yelling at people and screaming at people. You don't have your mask on. You didn't get vaccinated. How bad of a person you are. You're stupid. You remember how crazy it was? Can you imagine that coming back again? My God, this could happen again. And it's even worse on top of the fact that we're in famine and war. It's on the way. Wait till I show you some of the stuff that's coming. Not to mention the fact that we're on the brink within the next 24 hours. And I say 24 to 48 hours. They're saying war is about to break out. Okay? And I'm going to show you that in a minute here too. So the perfect storm is here. It is at the doorstep. Catherine Austin Fitts. She's having a fit here. And you don't know who she is? She was in the, I believe the Reagan administration, or was it the Bush administration? One of the two. She was the deputy secretary of Treasury, I think. I forgot what her post was, but she was a pretty high level, cabinet member there. Catherine Austin Fitts describes COVID vaccines as an operating system for the human body, enabling remote control of individuals via telecommunications and neurowarfare weaponry. What the hell is all that? I'm just going to tell you, it's demonic. All right. It's right from the pits of hell. And she says, as a part of a broader agenda for societal control and depopulation. Yes, I'm saying the word depop right there. Here we go.
So there are three possible reasons for the vaccines. One is the Internet of Bodies. You're trying to get nanoparticles into people's body that makes it easier for the telecommunications and neurowarfare weaponry to interact with them. So they become more easy to manipulate. And the Internet Bodies is literally about putting people on remote control. Uh-huh. So one possibility is, and I said at the beginning of the COVID, I said they're trying to load an operating system into our body. So now it's interesting because Clifford Carnicom, who's sort of my go-to researcher on the global spraying, what he says is that the bioengineered particles in the spray are the same that are in the vaccine. It's the same stuff. They just figured out a way to make it smaller and inject it instead of spraying it. And you hear, I've heard the geoengineering activists say that, whistleblowers have said that, some guy at Fort Detrick said, if only we could inject it. I guess they were frustrated that the spray wasn't working fast enough. Uh-huh. So part of this is biowarfare with the goal of control. But another could strictly be depopulation, because you're watching people's, you're watching symptoms of sterilization. Yeah. You're watching all sorts of symptoms of lower IQs, people less capable of managing life in a complex, sophisticated, advanced society, all those kinds of things. So you're poisoning and dumbing down and causing neurological damage that makes it easier to then, you either lower life expectancy, or it makes it easier to sort of take them out in other ways.
And Big Pharma and the medical institutions, they can actually profit off this as well, couldn't they?
Right. So basically, one is poisoning and sterilizing the population. One is loading up an operating system. And I can't tell you which is the real goal. And it's probably, whenever you spend this much time and money doing things, you're stacking functions.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. That is for sure. And she's right on target with what she's saying about the Internet of Bodies. It's really about getting the nanotech into the body, because they really want to connect you to the Internet of Things. The Internet of Bodies is making you a node for the Internet's receiving, transmitting, and receiving of information into your physical body. And that would also be surveillance. It would be tracking and tracing. It would be really, I think, the digital mark of the beast. This is literally the digital mark of the beast. And so when they say it coats your cerebral cortex and is an interface between your brain and the AI, they're talking about your forehead. And then when they talk about your right hand being buying or selling, say if you have it in your forehead or your hand, it's talking about a mark that is detectable through technology, and that will give you access and or denial if you don't have it, and or being labeled a traitor and or a terrorist. So you better figure out where you're going to be with God and trust his plan and be committed wholly to him, and to have your heart steeled against, hardened against the times that we're in, because the evil is coming in like a flood. Now, Scripture says he would raise up a standard against him when this would be happening, and this is what's happening. Do you have the light? Do you have your lamps trimmed? Do you have the oil? Are you going to stumble around in the dark and receive the mark? If you're going to stumble around in the dark and receive the mark, then that's your destiny. You better wake up and find out where your destiny is. All right, check this out. Everything is being vaccinated. Check this out. This will blow your mind.
The farmed fish that you eat are injected with over 50 different types of vaccinations, literally. So they sedate them, like that video showed, en masse. So large numbers of fish, they bathe them in some sort of sedation agent, and then they feed them through a giant vaccination machine, a vaccinator conveyor belt. And so while they are asleep from the chemical drugs that they absorbed, they are inoculated with who knows how many types of vaccines at one time. And they go through that, and then they're released back into the farmed fish pond. And again, so every single year we'll have hundreds of millions of salmon, trout, sardines, all sorts of fish are receiving these vaccinations. And mRNA versions are coming soon, by the way. They are already developing them. They're already testing mRNA versions. And so, you go out and eat fish, get wild caught fish. Since I've learned this, I'm never going to eat farmed fish ever again. I don't want to eat, 20, 50 different vaccines in my meal.
Yeah, you want to keep eating vaccinated food, whether it's beef or pork. Pork's already getting mRNA vaccines, but they're really pushing the beef, and I'm not even doubting that it's already there. I bet you they've already got mRNAs for the beef. I know they do in probably other countries, and we are importing a lot of beef. I think we're exporting our good beef to other countries like China, and we're importing the crappy beef for our own people. I think that's what's really happening. But yeah, they're doing it to the chickens. I don't know if you saw that with the chickens. Let's see if I can find that video where they're vaccinating the chickens. And they're chicks. They're not chickens. They're actually the chicks. Let's see if I can find this here. I guess this is not it. I had showed a video of them vaccinating chicks. Let's see if I can find it on here. And it's really crazy. The machine, you see how they did the fish one at a time? Well, watch what they do with these chicks. And you're eating these chickens when they get bigger. And are they mRNA? Is it mRNA nanotech in the chickens? I think this is it here. Let's see. It's a machine. Yeah, here it is. This. Just look at this. These poor little chicks. Look at these little chicks. They just stick them in there with they're like little peeps. They just stick them in there with their heads, and they just rip another vaccine and blip 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 blip. They're just injecting those poor little things. Look at that, little peeps. And you're eating those things. You're eating all their eggs. They've been genetically modified with mRNA technology, gene therapy, passing it on to those who eat them and their offspring and their little chicken nuggets. The little chicken nuggets that come out, you're eating those at the store. And they've got mRNA in them. Yep. They're altering all of your food, including all of your veggies. You better get some organic seeds. Get some organic seeds. Go over to our store and make sure you get supplied with clean food. Clean food, okay? Clean food. I always hear Trump saying clean oil, clean coal, clean fossil fuels. No, you really want to have clean food is what you want. You want chickens that haven't been vaccinated. You want beef that hasn't been vaccinated and or steroided or hormoned, because they stick hormones in them too to get them fat. Hormones, steroids, vaccinations, and then you're eating it. You're eating all that. On top of the fact that they're spraying it all over the skies every day, and it's dripping down upon your soil and upon your air that you breathe, everything. But hey, the Bible says that if you're a child of God, you can eat any deadly thing and it won't harm you. So make sure you're protected by the Most High, because when he protects you, the devil hates it, because it doesn't kill you, but it might kill them. But it won't kill you. All right? Yeah. But you don't stupidly go out and eat things that you know are poison. So don't be stupid. All right. So let's get back to what we were looking at here. Where are we at here? All right, so let's get back, and we're getting to the World War II stuff, or World War III stuff here in just a second. So here it is. Iranian hackers have gained access to gas station monitors and systems across various U.S. states. This is just now breaking. Iran has breached the systems that monitor the amount of fuel in storage tanks, allowing them to tinker with display readings on the tanks. It would allow them, in theory, to make a gas leak go undetected. Health Ranger is just now waking up. With all this AI technology that Mike Adams has, you would have wondered why he didn't understand this sooner, but he is just now getting the memo. Maybe he's starting to watch us. I don't know. But he's saying here, quote, so they're going to hit us with fertilizer shortage, induced famine, plus oil scarcity, energy lockdowns, plus the hantavirus panic, public health lockdowns, all at the same time, right? Don't tell me it's not coordinated. Now, I just post this because, he's got 317,000 views on this, as if he just figured it out. He's like the genius that just figured it out. And everybody's like, wow. But we've been telling you this for quite some time. Like I said, all those chickens, remember that little analogy I gave you yesterday about the chickens? All in one little spot going crazy and jumping all over each other, and they're all excited like we got some food here, but nobody can get in there because everybody's all jumping on top of each other. But over here, you got all the food you ever wanted, and there's only 2 chickens eating out of it. That's where I want to be. And that's where we're at here, okay? So we're not all the crazy chickens jumping all over each other. We've got it all figured out already, way in advance. And if you missed that analogy, you might want to go over to the video last night and watch it. Which is a little epiphany that I had while I was watching my chickens the other night. Let's see what the commentator says here. Yes, it's coordinated, but it's biblical. We're seeing so much error being spread online, in online circles about the wrong timelines and interpretations of world events. To all the people that criticize and make claims like it's all fear-mongering, or they're forcing prophecy to happen, or Trump is a precursor to the Antichrist, wake up. No one is forcing the end times to happen. It's just actually happening. The problem with people that say these things is that they are not actively in a true relationship with Jesus, not bearing the cross, too busy listening to conspiracy theories and false brethren. The only person you should be listening to is the Holy Spirit himself, and then you'll be able to discern what's true and what's not, who is really speaking the truth and who is peddling lies. Absolutely. Honey bunny, very good. That's exactly what I would say. I endorse this message. Iran Observer, breaking, extremely worrying. This is very worrying. According to the Iran Observer on X, listen to this. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed until the next month. A widespread wave of energy shortages and price hikes is expected, according to the Financial Times. Oh, haven't we already seen that? Are you talking about more price hikes? Are you talking about $10 a gallon gas prices in California and the average gas price to be around $6 a gallon? Possibly even higher? Yes. And your food prices going up exponentially? Yes. And Trump saying that he doesn't really care? Because why? Because the whole world could be nuked by Iran, and we don't care about anybody else except getting that nuclear option taken off the table, whatever it costs. If it costs everybody dying, we're going to stop Iran from getting that nuke. If it costs the whole world going into famine, we're going to stop Iran from getting that nuke. This is Trump's logic. Does it even make sense? All right. This is extremely worrying. All right. The WAN News Agency on X has stated that the UN says that world has weeks, just weeks, not months, but weeks, to avert a humanitarian crisis over Hormuz fertilizer blockade. It's not just oil blockade, it's fertilizer blockade. And both of them are very bad, okay? They're focusing only on the fertilizer. You know why? Because that will cause famine in and of itself. Not to mention the ability of your tractors to even work. How are you going to even put the fertilizer out there if you don't have any diesel fuel? But hey, a lot of the world depends on horses and buggies still, so they can still spray their fertilizer by hand. But they can't even get the fertilizer. Millions risk hunger if supply stays blocked. It's not just millions. It's probably billions, as Dr. Evil would say. Not billions, but billions. Okay, global surveillance has began to monitor U.S. Air Force surge that is continuing. Dozens of C-17s, tankers, fighters flood the Middle East skies amid Iran tensions. And this is showing right now the network of plane activities that are continuing at this very hour. BRICS News has stated, just in, Israel says that it is ready to resume military operations against Iran. This was last night. Israel says it is ready to resume. President Isaac Herzog has canceled his trip to New York next week due to circumstances preventing the visit at this time. What are those circumstances? The imminent outbreak of another war. That is what's preventing him from coming. The IDF will enter the maximum state of alert starting tomorrow when Trump leaves China. Has Trump left China yet? Because that's when the maximum state of alert begins. Let's see. Has he left? President Donald Trump departed Beijing, China on Friday afternoon on May 15th. So that was today. Don't know what time that was, China time, but that was probably already a while back. So he's probably already back in the U.S. Let's see. Okay, so he's already in Washington 2 hours ago. Trump just came into Washington just a few hours ago. Okay, so they got video of him coming in. This is according to NBC News. Let's see.
Tonight, President Trump back home after that whirlwind summit here in Beijing. China rolling out the red carpet for President Trump until the very last moment. The president revealing more about his high-stakes meetings with China's President Xi, including on Iran, saying he did not ask China to pressure the Iranian regime to open the Strait of Hormuz.
I didn't ask him to put pressure because, I don't need favors. I think he will. I think automatically. He'd like to see it opened up. He gets about 40% of his energy or his oil from that, from the strait. We get none.
Saying they had similar views.
We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end. And we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We want the straits open.
And tonight, President Trump revealing he could support a 20-year halt to Iran's nuclear program, but that Iran must end all of its nuclear enrichment, something the Iranian regime is refusing to do.
20 years is enough, but the level of guarantee from them was not enough. In other words, it's got to be a real 20 years.
On trade, the president looking to boost American businesses, bringing top American CEOs, now touting new Chinese orders of U.S. goods, including American agriculture.
The farmers are going to be very happy. They're going to be buying billions of dollars of soybeans.
And Boeing tonight describing a very successful trip, reopening the China market, receiving an initial commitment for 200 aircraft. China announcing they've reached new common understandings with the U.S., but has not given any further details. All of it after President Xi took President Trump on a tour of the gardens inside Chinese Communist Party headquarters. And the president touting the relationship at tea.
He's a man I respect greatly, become really a friend.
What did they accomplish? Well, I think the base minimum we could talk about in terms of accomplishment is some stability. We can say that perhaps things are less confrontational, at least for now.
But no progress so far on U.S. efforts to secure the release of Jimmy Lai, a pro-democracy publisher and critic of China's Communist Party, convicted of violating a national security law.
I brought up Jimmy Lai, and I would say the response to that was not positive.
A devastating fire ripped.
Okay. Well, there you go on that. Okay, so a senior Israeli official to Channel 12 says that Israel will raise its alert level to the highest in the next 24 hours to prepare for the possibility of a new war with the terror regime in Iran after President Trump returns from China. This is according to Channel 12 News Israel. According to Hal Turner, he says that the Cuba is completely out of diesel, and I think I've heard this in other news outlets were saying the same thing, that they're out of diesel completely, and oil, and power grids are mostly down. They're in the dark, literally going into starvation mode when you can't get anything trucked here, hither, or yon. You can't get anything in from not only imports, but you can't get it, shuttled to a place where it needs to be. I mean, this is where you get into Mad Max kind of scenarios where people start freaking out. It says that it's been prompting protests across the Capitol on Wednesday evening. Some districts in the Capitol are without light for 20 to 22 hours a day, the minister added in his announcement. All right, here's some other interesting news here, too. 50,000 Lake Tahoe residents will have no more power due to AI data centers. So this is symbolically representing what they're doing on a national level with these data centers sucking up energy and causing, your energy bill to go through the roof. If you haven't noticed that your energy bill has gone up, it's because of all that sucking sound. Remember what Ross Perot said? There's going to be a big sucking sound coming out of the AI data centers. And out of Mexico, all your jobs are going to be just sucked right out like a big vortex. And that's exactly what's been going on. So they're sucking all of your energy, all of your money right out of your pocket. That's what's happening. But hey, it's a good thing because we can make all kinds of great pictures and videos, and we can surveil every little aspect of what you do in life, even down to your private little moments. We can have a big database all ready to go when we need to find out what we need to do with you. The Nevada Energy and Nevada Utility has supplied the bulk of Lake Tahoe's electricity for decades, told Liberty Utilities, the small California company that services the region, and that it will stop providing power after May 2027. The reason? Nevada Energy needs the capacity for data centers, as in the energy supplier for the Lake Tahoe region is telling the utility company that it has less than a year to find another power source. This is fortune.com. You can find all the links here on our Telegram page if you want to go research all that. So it's definitely hitting the fan, and I'm expecting some pretty big crisis to unfold now. I really didn't see a whole lot coming out of this China thing at all. China did not in any way bring about any specifics or state any specifics that were accomplished in this meeting, except for the fact that it was a feel-good photo op, which many times throughout history preceded global conflicts. Leaders came together, shook hands, acted like they were in agreement, made a pact, and then broke it and went to war. Let's see what Donald Trump has said lately. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. He's doing his little bing, bing, bong, bing, bing, gone. So they're showing these warships that the U.S. has lasers now. Is that true? Do we have laser technology now? Bing, bing, gone. I was saying that the other day when I was talking about Trump, I was saying bing, bing, bong. Remember? Bing, 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 bing. I think he says things like this because he knows other people are saying these things. Not just me, but there was a few others that said that recently. That's kind of what got my thought process on that going. But here's Trump talking about, let's see. Oh, yeah, the 51st state is Venezuela, huh? Oh, and I heard that went over like a big thud. You could hear crickets all over Venezuela. Nobody said anything after he made this statement. It wasn't like anybody was like, yeah, we're a part of America now. Woohoo. Nope, nobody said a thing. They were like, just pretend like you didn't hear that. So Trump says, if you'd like to see the construction of the reflecting pool located between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, and look at the beginning of what will be the final sparkling blue surface, go check it out now. Obama and Biden, they say, spent over $100 million with years under construction, and it never worked. It leaked like a sieve. Looked terrible, was closed most of the time, and it was a complete disaster. They ultimately gave up on the project, declaring that it was impossible to fix. Then along came Trump, Doug Burgum, and his team in the Department of the Interior. They're all doing an excellent job on a very complex but solvable problem. When it is complete, there will be no leakage. There will be, which there was since its 1922 construction, and it will sparkle magnificently as the water is put in and begin to rise. A very tricky and difficult construction job will yield a beautiful result. Okay. This is May 14th. Okay, that would have been yesterday. But let's see what he said. When President Xi very elegantly referred to the United States as perhaps being a declining nation, he was referring to the tremendous damage we suffered during the 4 years of sleepy Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And on that score, he was 100% correct. What? That's pretty crazy for him to have to clarify that. Why would Xi Jinping even say that? It was almost as if he was saying it as it is now. And Trump had to actually clarify what Xi was thinking. What was Xi actually saying? Well, this is what he was saying. That tells me that's not good. Our country has suffered immeasurably with open borders, high taxes, transgender for everybody, men and women's sports, DE. They always use this as talking points. This is like always their whipping boy. They always have to have a scapegoat for why things are so bad right now. I thought you were going to fix it within 24 hours. I thought that the war in Ukraine was going to end in 24 hours. I thought we weren't going to be in any foreign wars. I thought gas prices would come down. I thought food prices would come down. I thought the Epstein files were all going to be unredacted. And the JFK files and the MLK files, nothing new there. What about the UFO files? Show me an alien in a box or something. And then some people in jail, maybe. That would be good too, right? Show us some people in jail. President Xi was not referring to the incredible rise that the United States has displayed to the world during the 16 spectacular months of the Trump administration, which includes all-time high stock markets and 401ks, military victories, and thriving relationships in Venezuela, the military decimation of Iran to be continued. Oh, geez. The strongest military on earth by far, economic powerhouse again, with a record $18 trillion being invested in the United States by others. The best U.S. You know, I think China sits back and they're just like, wow, this is just keep stroking his ego. Just let him keep on going. This is great. Don't interfere with what he's doing. Just keep saying he's doing a good job. Just honor him with this. This is a great honor because you know why? It's opening the door for China to do what they want to do, and for Russia. This is all facilitating Russia and China's rise. This is what it's doing. And this is oh my goodness. Anyways, just this, but see, people that don't think, that don't use their own brains, they think that this makes sense. Like they think that what Trump is saying here makes sense when they listen to this. They think it makes sense because they don't see the big geopolitical picture. They're not listening to wisdom. They're listening to somebody that is crafting an alternate reality for them. And they must worship in order to understand it. They got inside of his head and he's gotten inside of theirs. They've got the same kindred spirit. They probably are full of themselves too. People that are on board with this are so full of themselves, they can't even see outside of that little box they're in. Little echo chamber box. So, with a record $18 trillion being invested in the United States by others, the best U.S. job market in history, with more people working in the United States right now than ever before. Yeah, lots of foreign workers, right? Chinese coming over here by the hundreds of thousands. All these foreign workers that have been giving those passes because we don't have enough smart people in America to take over these jobs or to do these jobs. But he says, oh, well, they got to come over here so that they can train us so that we know how to do it. And then we can kick them out later. Right? Right. Right now, it says ending country. Let's see. The best job market in U.S. history with more people working in the United States right now than ever before. Ending country destroying DEI. Ending country destroying DEI. And so many other things that it would be impossible to readily list. In fact, President Xi congratulated me on so many tremendous successes in such a short period of time. He's like, you're like our most useful asset, Trump. You've been doing a wonderful job, Trump. And Trump's like, see, I'm your champion. I'm helping out the cause. Even Xi Jinping loves me. The Red Dragon is praising me. Yes, we love you, Trump. You're doing such a wonderful job. We honor you. Thank you so much. Taiwan is now ours. Thank you. 2 years ago, we were in fact a nation in decline. On that, I fully agree with President Xi. But now, the United States is the hottest nation anywhere in the world. And hopefully our relationship with China will be stronger and better than ever before. If you can't see through this, I think you need to go to a different channel and tune into someone else. Because you're probably very angry at me right now. You probably don't like me talking like this. So, and you've probably been watching me for a while, just chomping at the bit, just getting more and more angry. Just hit that little X and go watch somebody that you agree with. Just let it go. Stop being fixated on me. There's a lot of people here that agree with me, and they're going to continue. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Just move along. Go worship Trump on a Trump worshiping channel. Okay? I know there's a few people out there that are just fixated on, they can't stand that I talk about Trump. And I've got to say something. I get these emails and these comments every once in a while. Anyways. Anyway, I'm looking at your guys' comments now. So if there's anything you want to chat with me about, just go ahead and say it in the chat. And I'll see if I can answer any questions, field any comments, answer any angst and hate. You want to put a little hate comment out there, go right ahead. I don't mind. You want to be a troll, go ahead. I like to answer trolls. In fact, back in the day, some may remember, I told all the mods to stop. I said, you guys, I don't want you deleting any comments. I want to talk to the trolls. This is going to be a night of troll talk. I'm going to open up the phone lines and all the trolls are going to call in. Do not delete anybody's comments. How many of you guys remember that? Matt Morris TV. Yeah, Matt Morris TV. I love Trump. I love Trump. Whatever he does, he makes me talk like this because I know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful country that we live in, and it's amazing where it's going. I don't know. His voice always sounds kind of forced anyway. I wonder if he's like trying a little bit too hard. But hey, people love that. Look at how big of a crowd he's got. People love that. I don't know. Just be yourself, you know. People like that live vicariously through others. They want to be, well, on the coattails. They're just like, whatever they say, I'm on the coattails just waiting for that next talking point. However I'm supposed to say it, just give me the words. Send me the memo, please. I've got a big crowd of people watching. I'm an extension of you. Lynn Farley says, trust the plan. Trust the plan. These data centers aren't just after our water, but our electricity too. Yeah, they do want to suck up the water too. Yeah, that's another thing. And especially in a time when America is in drought and they're talking about another dust bowl. Literally, the water situation is worse than I believe it was before right after the stock market crash of 1929 is when we went into the Dust Bowl. And it was worse. It is worse now than it was pre-stock market crash. So the weather and its effects on the land, precipitation numbers, is worse right now than it's ever been, going all the way back to pre-1929. So you're talking about a Dust Bowl 2. This is a perfect storm. Dust Bowl 2, no fertilizer, no rain, probably a lot of fires are going to be happening. And you got people internal that want to cause all kinds of havoc. You know what they're going to be doing? They're going to try to facilitate this, take advantage of this crisis. And then you've got war breaking out. And, you know, every once in a while we're seeing our oil refineries explode. We don't know why that's happening, right? There's always a reason for that. But you've got China and Russia really waging a proxy war against us. And all these external niceties. And you got Trump in office. When you sit and really look at his personality, and you have to wonder, is he not pushing the whole envelope even closer to World War III? I mean, literally. And this whole Iran thing with the oil, you know, that's in and of just in and of itself the worst thing that could probably happen. Cutting off oil. Now, every day that this goes by, it makes it that compounds. It's like compounding the problem every day. We are headlong in a very deep crisis already. And it's only going to be compounded by the day. As every day goes, that this is still shut down. Now, this is why I think Trump is going to act. Because Trump is being squeezed right now. He is being squeezed. Because I'm not going to say his legacy, but his reputation is on the line right now. And you know Trump's ego. He has to protect that with everything he has. And he's being pushed into a corner and he's going to blow up. And he's the kind of guy that blows his top. He's already said it a few different times. He blew his top. Oh, I was in this meeting and I blew my stack. He said, I blew my stack. And he, from what I understand, he just explodes into a fit of rage at certain points when things go down. In fact, I heard he was kept out of some of the conversations of the generals and some of the war gaming as it was unfolding during the Iran war when it was really hot, because he would just start yelling and screaming for an hour, and they couldn't have that. They couldn't have that distraction. They had to keep him out. Did you guys hear that story? Is that legit? It sounds to me like it is, because I can tell that's the personality that he is. I could see that happening easy just by his demeanor when he gets opposed by somebody. He flips them off, or he says something to him and flips him off. Did you see that one time when he flipped off the guy and said something to him and flipped him off? It's like I could just see Trump losing his mind. So I think we're being pushed into a corner economically, militarily, and we have still a lot of power, and we could do a lot of damage, and they know that. The world knows this. We're like a wounded animal that has still all kinds of power to unleash. That's the most. They always say it's the most dangerous thing to have as a wounded opponent, because that's when they're fighting for their lives, right? They're at that last. That's why I said that I think that the Asian way of honoring their defeated foe before they put them out of their misery. Just go look that up. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's kind of a ritual they have where they honor and respect the foe that they've defeated. And I kind of wonder if that's what Xi was doing there. But anyways, yeah, I think Trump did call the generals little piggies. I think that's... Trump has so many things. I mean, there's just one thing after another. And what's amazing is that people that follow and really, you know, and I say idolize, but they put him on a pedestal and they really look up to him. They just overlook these things. These things are of no consequence because he's not a, you know, he's not a saint. He's not a church leader. He's a businessman. You know, he's a politician. He's a president. So we give him a pass. But he's moral like that. That fits their idea because he says, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm for banning abortion," but he's really not, and for getting that whole transgender stuff stopped, but he's really for LGBTQ agenda, you know, YMCA and you know, gays for Trump. You know, the gays like Trump. You know, I think that the extremism was all part of the plan. It was a part of the play. It was a part of the sway. Once it sways one way, it's going to sway back the other way when the other guy comes in. So it's going to make a, you know, it's kind of like it was meant to be to bring him in and usher him in with a lot of fanfare because he's going to be on that extreme right. That's going to be everybody. Even the liberals were like, "Oh yeah, we got to stop some of this. This is going too far." You know, like that was all part of the plan. That was what they needed to bring him from the rising of the dead. You know, the phoenix out of the ashes, or the resurrection of this new political messiah from the mortal political judicial head wound that he had. He literally rose from the dead at the last minute. All the big wigs like Bezos and Zuckerberg, they misread the whole thing. They thought for sure the powers that be were going to usher in Kamala Harris just like they did Biden. But we already knew that wasn't going to happen. And at the last minute, they had to come bearing gifts and offerings at Trump's feet because they had made the wrong choice. They had already gotten behind Kamala because they thought it was it was the powers that be had already said this is the way it's going to be. But we knew it wasn't. How did we know? Because we saw the plan. We knew how it was going to, we told you everything, play by play, how it would unfold before it happened. For anybody that's been watching, you know. And a lot of it is an occult. A lot of it is occult stuff that's going on. Definitely very demonic and spiritual behind the scenes. That is from the dark side. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. They're doing it on purpose. Yep. Are these the Oregon Duck colors? This is my golden shirt. My gold shirt. Is this the Oregon Ducks? I thought the Oregon Ducks were green and, wasn't it green and yellow? Or this is gray. It's not green though. Isn't it green and yellow? Luke, I am your father. All right. So anybody else got anything else? Let me take a look and see. I know there's other things that I could probably delve into here, but it's green and gold. Yeah, that's what I thought. Green and gold. But this is not green. This is like a grayish color. Do they have gray too? Because I know some football teams have two different colors. Like they have two different color patterns. It looks green on your TV? Really? Yeah, it's actually gray. They change their uniform colors. Sometimes they'll be in two different colors. Like they'll use one dominant color, but they'll have two different shades of like red and black, or red and gray, or red and white. It depends on which team they're playing, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, so definitely, guys, I'm going to plug our website once again to raise a little bit of awareness about food security. Make sure that you've got seeds. They always say seeds are more valuable and worth their weight in gold during times of crisis, especially when you go into, going back to like the Great Depression, in times when there's, and they always talk about preppers doing this too, making sure that you've got all your seeds, because you want heirloom seeds. You want seeds that you can produce food with. And it's good to stock up on seeds, especially when they're cheap. But then when things start going awry and things start going sideways, everybody starts piling on and buying up everything. That's what's going to happen. And I think it's only a matter of one crisis away before all this does happen. So you remember how quickly the supply chains collapsed during COVID. It was like almost overnight. And I could foresee the same thing happening with a big crisis or two in the world. Now, we've already got a crisis, but we've kind of had that normalcy bias type thing going on where we've kind of gotten used to it. It's like an incremental, they call it incrementalism, where you just slowly ratchet up the heat for the frog in the kettle until he's dead. And I just think that's kind of what we're seeing happen right now. And I've told people it's like that movie where you look out, they're on that planet, they've landed, and they're in some kind of swampy area, but they're looking at this swampy area going way out. And off in the distance, they see this big mountain range. And they don't realize that that mountain range is actually a big wave coming their way. They're on a foreign planet. They've landed on a planet. You don't know what's going on a planet that you've landed on, except for the fact that you're sitting in a big swampy kind of area that you can see for miles. It's only like a few feet deep. But they see off in the distance this big mountain range. But as they continue to see it and watch it, it seems like it's getting closer and closer. And finally they realize it's a big wave. And then they realize, my God, this wave is coming and it's thousands of feet high. And this is just a wave that goes over the planet every once in a while, I guess, with different cataclysms that's happening on that planet they happen to land on. But what I see coming, and what I think a lot of people are seeing off in the distance, is now getting closer, and they're realizing how big of an event this actually is. They didn't realize. They weren't really paying attention to what they're seeing. They don't understand what they're seeing. But what we're seeing now coming is a massive wave that's coming our way. And I hope you know how to surf or have some floaties or, all I can say is get ready, because it's coming this way. It's a tsunami. Prices are way up at Costco. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what, beef prices are up. I mean, the price of ground beef, I heard, went up. I mean, let me just take a look. We were looking at that yesterday. The price of ground beef just went way up. I think that was in the news yesterday. So it says here, oh, is it? This was old. This was 4 months ago. That's old. But it says really it's a lot. It's gone up hugely. Let's see if I can find that article. Beef prices, this was 14 hours ago. This was Yahoo Finance. Beef prices have hit record highs. Stat of the day. It is now almost $7 a pound. Cover your eyes and put away the wallet the next time you head to the meat department at your local grocery store. The average price of ground beef in the U.S. is now at $6.90 per pound, according to new data this week from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. On a non-seasonally adjusted basis, ground beef prices have eclipsed $7 per pound for the first time in history. Prices have surged 77% since January of 2020, when ground beef stood at a $3.89 per pound price. Meanwhile, the average price of uncooked beef steaks is at a record $13 per pound, up a sizzling 70% since January 2020. Sizzling hot. Ooh, I can smell that beautiful cricket bug steak. They're going to give us cricket bugs. Just a bunch of cricket bugs we're eating now. Or steak or meat glue. It's a bunch of meat glue. A bunch of stuff they found and they glued together to make it look like a big old piece of meat. You guys have heard of meat glue before, haven't you? You want to be careful with some of the meat that you buy in those cheap stores, because a lot of it is all put together with meat glue. It's a bunch of garbage. Not to mention, I couldn't believe it. I was going to look at hot dogs because we don't eat hot dogs. We used to eat hot dogs. We used to eat the Hebrew National hot dogs. We thought, oh, they're good because they're kosher, they're Hebrew. They got to be something that's a lot better meat. They're all the same in some way. They might be a little bit better, but there's all kinds of yuck in those hot dogs anyway. But they're now so expensive. What used to cost, seriously, we used to buy those big packages. They're double layered Hebrew Nationals. They were like this long, and there was probably like maybe like 20, maybe 25 hot dogs in a big package. They were called the family pack, and it used to be like you could get them for like $10, maybe a little bit more. I went to the store today and I looked at the Hebrew Nationals. There's like 6 of them. One thin line of 6 hot dogs for $10. And you used to get like 5 times, 6 times as much as that for the same price. And I mean, we did go to Costco to get some. Well, actually, we would get them at Walmart too. Walmart sometimes had them, where you could get those big packages of Hebrew Nationals. So they've gone up exponentially, just the hot dogs, 2 or 3 times more than what they used to be. My wages haven't gone up. I don't know how to afford that now. In fact, they've actually gone down. Wages have gone down. I got to get out of podcasting. We got to start doing something else. Maybe we should start following all of Trump's stock suggestions and looking at what he's putting his money into. And follow Pelosi and people like that, because they always make these amazing investments that just have a huge return. I don't know how that happens. Well, I'll tell you, they're geniuses. Genius. It's a genius move. And then on top of that, fast food is going up too. Not that I eat fast food, but for the people that do, you go out and get a hamburger or like a McDonald's value meal. And what's the value meal now cost? Like $8, $10. Used to cost, $1.50? A value meal, you'd get 3 different things on a sale price. I remember when we get those free little tags in high school, we get we get those little game tickets and you get a free Big Mac. I'd have like 10 of these free game tickets and I'd just go there and get free Big Macs all day long. That never happens anymore. Or you get a Big Mac for 25 cents, back in the day. And it was actually better meat back then, like it was probably more real than it is now. You got to wonder what they're putting in the meat now. What does it say here? Let's look at some news here. U.S. and Israel officials prepare targets for possible strikes on Iran as early as next week, CNN reports. So they're saying that U.S. and Israel military officials are now preparing targets. And you know what that means? They're ramping up Palantir. Palantir is preparing targets. That's what that means for next week. So these are going to be AI-driven targets. And this is where we're going, AI warfare. AI weapons that are guided by, the technology that's in the software that guides these weapon systems is AI. And I think that's kind of what they're getting ready to do again. They've already tested it in Lebanon and in Gaza and also in Ukraine and with the Russian thing. Those are also tested with AI softwares now. And it's all Palantir. Palantir is the one that's behind a lot of that. The Marine Corps F-35B Lightning II from Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 121 takes off from American-class amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli in the Arabian Sea. You guys want to let's see? Oh, that's not a video. That's just a picture. Okay. Wow. So it says Russian forces claim that a Russian Aerospace Forces Su-335S, I guess that's one of their new fighter jets, shot down a Ukrainian F-16 AM Fighting Falcon using an R-37-/77 air-to-air missile. The missile launch was recorded by Ukrainian monitoring channels. However, the outcome of the engagement remains unconfirmed. So the Indian ship, an Indian flagship, was attacked and sunk off the coast of Oman yesterday. Or day before yesterday. That was on Wednesday, according to Bloomberg, and the crew was successfully rescued. I think we shared that, looking at some of the recent posts, but those are kind of old, I guess. Let's look one more place here. Hold on. Let's see. AI data centers will use 190 gigawatts of power and 449 million gallons of water a day. That is absolutely crazy. It's got to be AI. You can never trust what you're seeing nowadays. It's even real. I mean, I think people just make up these videos to try to get views. I have no idea if what I'm looking at is real or if it's AI now. It just seems kind of fake. I mean, I have no idea. They're saying it's real, but I don't know. It's like this rare lightning, supposedly rare red lightning is appearing in China. Looks AI to me. This is interesting. Let's see. gosh. What in the world? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Okay, I won't play that one. Okay, so this bombshell report, it says Julian Assange is sounding the alarm over the silent manipulation of digital history, warning that centralized internet archives are now possess the power to erase, alter, and control humanity's collective memory in ways that most people have never imagined possible. The internet may no longer be preserving history, it may be rewriting it, and they can do that with AI. AI can do that. Isn't that crazy? So listen to what Julian Assange says here. This is I wonder if this is recent. Let's take a listen.
Archives of information have been centralized on computers. The Guardian's archives are only in one place. They're not in libraries all across the nation that people look for. They're only looked for on the internet. And because of copyright legislation, they're not copied elsewhere to other places on the internet. So when something disappears from the archives, the electronic archives of the West, to which all information is moving into, it is gone forever. It has not only ceased to have existed, it has ceased to have ever have existed. And when you go to those web pages that have been removed from Western papers, you won't see the tail lines. You will just see page not found. You won't see anything in the index at all. We are now approaching the state of Orwell's dictum, perfect dictum, that he who controls the present controls the past. He who controls internet servers controls the intellectual record of mankind, and by controlling that, controls our perceptions of who we are, and by controlling that, controls what laws and regulations we make in society.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That looked like something that happened in the previously, because he doesn't look that young anymore. I think he looks really old now, unless he's cleaned himself up and shaved. I don't know if you saw pictures of him when he came out of prison or whatever he was at. He looked like he was, 70 years old. It had to have been a long time ago. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, listen to this. People in southern Russia are reporting a surge in unusually aggressive hyaloma ticks. What? In light of all of these weird videos on ticks, right? Listen to this. So it says here, this is in southern Russia. Russian media say that the large ticks have become particularly active across regions, including, Rostov, Krasnodar, so this is all in Russia. The main concern is that these ticks can carry Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, a potentially deadly disease with a high fatality rate if untreated. Some reports also claim that the ticks are far less responsive to standard repellents than ordinary species. Let's see what they look like.
Потом за мной бежит. Смотрите, я сейчас в бок уйду. Оп, опа. Чисто цель наметил, не сдается. Оп. Опа. Бежит, 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 бежит. Еще так быстро бежит. Я даже не знал, что клещи так быстро бегают. Оп. Вот я сейчас сюда. Оп. Опа. Ты какой. Видит цель, не видит препятствия. Вот. Смотрите, какой шустрый клещ. Вот он.
Wow. That tick was stalking him, man. That's what it looked like on that tick box. People were like, ticks don't move that fast unless they're aggressive ticks, right? My wife was telling me she was saying, I don't know, they can genetically modify them to make them more aggressive. And here we got supposedly ticks that are really aggressive. Look at that. It's exactly what my wife was telling me the other day. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But here we got some aggressive ticks. Someone says, interesting fact, Western bluebelly lizards, when bit and feeding a tick with Lyme disease, the lizard is immune. Not only that, when the tick drops off, it no longer carries the disease. They really should study the lizard's blood. Huh, that's interesting. That's right. If you got a lot of chickens, they'll eat up all the ticks. Yep. Pretty crazy, guys. What do you think? Eunice says that ticks can hop. The clock is ticking. Tick tock, tick tock. According to Hannity, it's about to happen. Tick tock. 2 more weeks. And it's going to hit the fan. You can take that to the bank. You got bluebelly lizards in southern Oregon. I used to catch those bluebelly lizards all the time. Ugh. Tick populations are controlled by cold temps. Good. That's good because we're in a cold climate. In fact, we're getting cold weather here in the next few days down to into the 30s again. So no ticks for us. Ticks for thee, but not for me. Oh, the Reese report? Okay. Somebody says, the Reese report, the Reese report. Don't forget. You said the Reese report. All right, let's look at it. Let's look at Greg Reese and his recent Reese report. Are you talking about the data centers? God, he doesn't get that many views on some of these videos. I'm surprised. He must be being shadow banned. Smart dust and human. That's interesting, that smart dust stuff. Let's take a look at some of what he's got here. Greg Reese. You guys all know who Greg Reese is, right? On YouTube, I think he's got... You can always find him on YouTube. Just type in Greg Reese, but he's got some good stuff. I think he's got a Substack you might want to check out. He definitely knows what's going on and understood. He used to do stuff for Alex Jones Network, but he wasn't really a part of the network. He just kind of was sponsored by Alex Jones, but he kind of pulled out at the right time. So here we go. Listen to Greg Reese. That means he understands what's coming. He understands what's going on, is what I'm going to say. He's not going along with the program just to make money. He's doing it for the truth.
The AI data centers in America have already become hugely unpopular. The noise pollution from their cooling systems reach up to 100 decibels and run non-stop. They are drawing down aquifers in areas that are already in short supply, turning the water brown and tainting it with a disinfectant smell. And there is no benefit to the local community. A U.S. Chamber of Commerce report found that each data center provides about 157 jobs. Because of all this, developers have been using non-disclosure agreements with local officials, and projects are announced only weeks before voting for approval. There are now nearly 200 active opposition groups across the United States, and it's growing fast. The official story is that the U.S. needs to stay competitive to beat China in an artificial intelligence arms race. But that story does not add up. The United States has already built over 4,000 data centers. China ranks at number 4 with 368. What they appear to be is the infrastructure for a new financial system, one that includes mass surveillance and autonomous weapon systems to protect it. The US dollar system is quickly collapsing, which would devastate the entire world economy. The only solution being played out is the AI agentic economy, which requires a massive amount of computing power. This new AI agentic system will be run by autonomous software entities that can own wallets, earn and spend money, create contracts, and transact with each other without human intermediaries. This addresses the debt problem by growing the economy faster than the debt accumulates. Like the petrodollar, it extends US dollar hegemony without fixing its core issue, the debt. The Bank for International Settlements is the bank for central banks. It is immune from any national law, and its employees have diplomatic immunity. It answers to no government on earth, and every central bank is a member. BRICS only appears to be in opposition to Western banking. It is not. BRICS is aligned with the rest of the world in adopting this new AI digital banking system. But a growing number of analysts agree that this is a temporary fix. After about 10 years, the consumption of resources, the displacement of human workers, and the massive transfer of wealth to the few who own these AI agents makes a fundamental restructuring unavoidable. And yet, the entire world is going along with this plan. The question is, why? As we covered in last week's video, the New World Order, the emerging unipolar world is preparing for a major geological event that is expected to be catastrophic for the United States and beneficial to Russia. In the United States, data centers are being built inland and on elevated land, away from the coastlines. This is where all vital U.S. infrastructure is being moved, and is where billionaires are buying up acres by the millions. China is building their data centers inland and high above sea level, over 1,200 kilometers from their main user bases, who have been complaining about latency and security. China has also built ready-to-occupy ghost cities at high elevation, deep inland, and on geologically stable platforms. And they are now using economic incentives to move its population into these cities and away from the coast. Russia's official government plan explicitly states the opening up of new land for agriculture and easier transportation of goods in the Arctic as positive effects of an expected pole shift. They are spending billions preparing for it. They have passed dozens of new laws aimed at stimulating economic growth and encouraging migration to the Arctic, including free land grants, subsidized mortgages, and other social benefits for those who make the move. Russian scientists have concluded that 13 million square kilometers of currently frozen territory will soon thaw and become the center of Russian civilization and a land of great opportunity. Russia is not frantically building data centers. They are passing homesteading laws and preparing for a windfall of new landmass. The expected catastrophic geological event is the most elegant explanation for all the chaos happening on Earth today. It explains just about everything. The real mystery is this: what exactly is causing it, and how do the most powerful people on Earth know about it? Greg Reese reporting.
Yeah, we heard about that too. We've talked about this topic in the past, and if you know who Suspicious Observers is, the channel Suspicious Observers. How many of you guys out there know who he is? I think his name is Ben. Suspicious Observers channel. Ben Jacobson. What's his name? What's his name? You guys know his name? He talks about this. If you want to do more research on this topic, you go over to Suspicious Observers channel and check out this one here. He's got a couple of these playlists that you might want to look up. The Earth Catastrophe Cycle. I think that's the 2019 series, but he's got one called the 12,000 Year Cycle, the Disaster Playlist, and let's take a look at one of these really quick. I think this disaster. Let's just take a listen just a little bit. There is a huge amount of information that has gone out on this channel, but just to get like a little feel for what he has here. And this is in line with what Greg Reese is talking about.
It's always more challenging to hit a moving target, especially in science. By the time you write a book or do a summary video, there's more to add, which is why after a few dozen episodes in the 2019 playlist, we had to make a full film on the disaster. But by the time it was done, dozens more papers needed to go into the mix, and we chased for another year, and again this year as well. The goal is tracking the ongoing geomagnetic shift of Earth. The magnetic poles are shifting. This is bad news for the creatures that live on this planet. And indeed, we see evidence of an ongoing solar system shift, with the other planets, the sun, and even interplanetary space changing, as well as the nearby stars we'd expect to have been recently triggered by a larger galactic shift. It's all about chasing the next iteration of a disaster cycle, and tragically, with all the events and of all the times to be alive, we are about to endure the big one, 12,000 years. Here, we have compiled clips from the full disaster film in 2019, all 3 existing postludes, the important geomagnetic update from earlier this month, a 4th postlude we will do right in sequence, followed by 3 bonus clips that all go together with the rest of this material. It's not Hollywood cinematic quality, but the storyline is way more interesting than what they've got, and it's real, with us cast as the lead characters. Here's the script in a little over 90 minutes. Let's begin with the clips from the full film in 2019, Cosmic Disaster, CIA Classified. I'm going to tell you the scariest true story ever told. Over thousands of years, in thousands of versions with different names and minute details, but the story always ends the same way, with the next end of the world. We'll give you the short version first, and then the burden of proof will fall here to present the evidence across time and topic that the slow crawl of geology, the wind, water, fire, and tectonic creep is punctuated in rare occasions by disastrous upheaval. The Earth's magnetic field reverses, with dramatic excursion events sprinkled between. They can occur in less than 100 years from plunge to rock bottom. Earth's ongoing magnetic event has already been underway 150 years, into the red zone, and it is speeding up. In early 2019, the magnetic event accelerated to where an update to the world magnetic model was required ahead of schedule for the first time. Well, so far, this has not been causing catastrophic events, but unfortunately there are other aspects to the event coming. Both in physical evidence and in the stories told in rock and voice, the sun plays the role of the destroyer. Where the decadal and centennial cycles of activity converge, we find the entire magnetic potential of the sun accessible for what can only be described as a micronova. As unbelievable as that might sound, the evidence will actually show this to be an almost unavoidable consequence of the solar system trip through the galaxy. There is evidence that the crust and mantle unlock at the low velocity zone. The plates collide and, maybe worse, triggering volcanoes and sending unfathomable amounts of water into the land, creating surge deposits of bone and earth. The earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis are followed by snow, ice, incredible amounts falling by the yard as Earth's temperature plummets. We'll see evidence at the micro scale of the previous great solar blast, the ways in which humans survived the last great catastrophe, the evidence that similar plans are secretly unfolding beneath our feet, and the evidence demonstrating the cover-up and erroneous geological science that overthrew a course of rediscovery, one that can now lead us to understand that the sun's cyclical passage through the galactic electric sheet is the trigger for the great catastrophe cycle on Earth. Let's begin in the 1700s with a surge of global exploration and...
All right, so that's just a little taste, so you guys might whet your appetite to go over and check out Suspicious Observers. Just type in Space Weather News or SO, and you should find his channel. I guess he changed the name. It used to be Suspicious Observers, but you can always, it was always with an O, S-O, or with a zero, S0. And his channel's name is Space Weather News. Got almost 1 million subscribers. You might want to check out that. If you want to get scared to death, it might scare you into the arms of Jesus, because this is the scripture that talks about, listen to this. I'll share you the scripture that I think this refers to. It is Luke chapter 21, verses 26. Luke chapter 21, verses 26. Let's just go into the context there. What do you say? We'll check out the context there really quick. Let's see. There will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and on the earth, dismay among nations, or distress amongst nations, bewildered by the roaring of the sea and the surging of the waves. Men's hearts will faint from fear and anxiety over what is coming upon the earth, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Remember, Jesus said, as the same way that you see me go, I will return, right? Or the angel said that, I'm sorry, the angel said that. As he ascended into the heavens and into the cloud, the angel said he would return in the same manner. So he's going to be returning when all these cataclysmic events, the birth pains, the wars, the tribulation of those days begins to intensify. That's when he returns. And then it says the whole of creation, all of the heavens and the earth are going to be consumed by fire, intense, fervent heat, which precedes the new heavens and the new earth, wherein dwells righteousness, right? So it says when, and by the way, all these people think they're going to somehow escape, that they've got some escape plan. Ain't no escape. They can dig their deep underground military-style bunker. It's called a dumb, and it'll just be their grave. There's no escaping the Most High and his judgments. When these things begin to happen, stand up, lift up your heads. Lift up your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. I like it in the King James Version. It's actually a little more interesting. Let's see the King James. It says, and there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and on the earth distress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of the powers of heaven will be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming with power and great glory. And when all these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And then he spoke to them of a parable. Behold, a fig tree and all the trees, when they grow and shoot forth. This is talking about spring. You see and you know for yourselves that summer is now near at hand, or nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. He's talking about the rebirth of the state of Israel when the Jews come back into the land after 2,000 plus years, 1948, and the possession and the retaking of Jerusalem in 1967. A generation would be 70, possibly 80 years, according to the biblical definition of a generation. 70 years since 1967, 77, 87, 97, 107, 117, 127. That's 60 years, right? 67, 77. Oh, that was the Jubilee I was thinking of. So 48 would be 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, 108, 118. So we're at 78 years. So in between 70 and 80 years is considered a generation, and we're at the end of the 70-year period from the time that Israel became a nation in 1948, right? Well, I was talking about the Jubilee in 1967 because that had to do with, was it 50 years? I think it was a 50-year period, 67. Yeah, well, we were talking about that a while back. So that was the Jubilee in 2017. But here we are in 2026. Isn't that crazy how time has flown so fast? My goodness. Has it gone so quick? Take heed to yourselves, lest this is also very important. I shared this verse the other day. Be watchful, take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts become overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness. And I believe the word surfeiting just means, becoming consumed with the world, overindulging, becoming excessive in lust, I guess, for things, whatever that's connected to this world. And then it talks about being consumed with the cares of this life. And if you happen to be consumed with these things, then this day, the day of the Lord, will overtake you unaware. It will come upon you and you won't be aware of it. So for as a snare or as a trap shall it spring, or it shall come upon all of them who dwell upon the whole face of the earth. So this trap is going to spring quickly, suddenly upon everyone. But they're so consumed, just like in the days of Noah, with eating and drinking and giving in marriage and genetically modified organisms, which is DNA manipulation. Giants were in the land, right? They had modified humanity. And that's why the flood came and took them all away. So it says, so would be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Men were eating, they were eating and drinking and giving in marriage, and so will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. The same things will be happening, similar to the days of Noah. So this sudden flood took everybody unaware. Watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted, that you may be counted worthy to escape all of these things that shall come to pass and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man. Now, does that mean you're going to escape death? No. It's appointed unto man once to die and to face judgment. It's talking about escaping the snare and the corruption and the spiritual death and the mark of the beast, or taking that pathway of rebellion that fallen human nature seems to be akin to. It just seems to be natural. It seems to be something that everybody does. Everybody's going off the cliff. Everybody's going through the wide gate that leads to destruction. They're going off the rails on a crazy train. On the Trump train, they're just like having a great old time, though. It says, and in that day he was teaching in the temple, and at night he went out and abode in the mount that is called the Mount of Olives, and all the people came early in the morning to him in the temple to hear him. Now, I think we need to be giving ourselves more to the study of God's word, to prayer, and this I would encourage everyone to do early. Do this on a regular basis. Become a habit and a pattern in your spiritual life. You should be doing God's service every day, giving him your all, everything that you are. Commit your way to him. And it says, he will direct your steps. When you give him your will, you give him your life, you offer up your whole heart to him, your strength, your soul. It says when you worship him with all of your heart, with all of your mind, with all of your strength, and then you love your neighbor as yourself, then God, he does things in a tangible way. When he calls you to do something, it isn't just in theory, go, oh yeah, be well and be well fed and be blessed. No, he calls you to go out and bless them tangibly, feed them, clothe them, get involved in their lives, talk to them, counsel them, spend some time with them. Don't just, give them a token blessing, pass on by while the Samaritan is, while the guy's dying on the side of the road, and you're just going to pass on by and say, oh, I hope he's blessed because I can't help him because I've got spiritual things to do. Get down there on the ground, get dirty, and help him. Get involved. Start sharing your faith in with your family members, with people that get out there and start sharing the message in every way you can. Like it really is life and death. Like it really is a matter of life and death, because it is. People's souls are at stake. It's not just their physical lives, though that may be a part of it, because it does have an effect on the natural world that we live in. Right? When you know the truth and you have some wisdom, you avoid, a lot of pitfalls in the world, and you might have a little more extended life to do the will of God, because God wants us to all be about his business, and he's got things for you to do. But if you're not relevant to the kingdom, maybe he'll just kind of let you have your own will and way, but you better be wholly committed to the devil then, because somebody's going to be wanting you in this world for some reason. If you're not with the Lord, then that's why the Lord said you either be hot or cold. I'd rather that you be hot or cold. The lukewarm are going to be spewed out. So, choose your side and wholly commit to it. Don't be half-hearted and in the middle. Lukewarm, half-hearted, lackadaisical, non-committed, just kind of bystanders are worse than even the occultists out there who are committed to some kind of, error of doctrine, but they're wholly committed to their, invested in that wrong way. I mean, what's worse? Lukewarm milk or hot milk or cold milk? Which one do you want to drink? I'd rather have hot milk or cold milk, but not lukewarm. Lukewarm milk tastes terrible. And so there's a lot of lukewarm Christians out there. We got to get people on fire. Amen. How many of you guys want to get on fire for God? This is why I got the gold shirt on, because it's fire. It's my fire shirt. All right. So anyways, guys, I pray that you're all doing well in the Lord, and we got to keep our ministry channel strong. So make sure you're connected to the ministry channel. I'm going to be trying to get there tomorrow to get into the Word. We're going to do the deep dive on the Scriptures, prayer, and interactive conversations in the chat. It's not as big of a channel. It's not as big of a gathering as it is here right now, but we want to make sure that people understand the importance and the high priority that we place on our faith here in everything that we do here. It's not just about the news, the bad news. It's about the good news. And that's what the gospel really is all about. It's about good news. It's about getting people prepared in every way, not just prepping for bad times with, having food security or energy security, making sure you got, solar power and battery power, because everything's going to be affected. I'm just going to tell you, everything's going to be affected here. I don't know how long it's going to allow us to continue on here. I don't know what's coming, but it's something big. But you better be ready spiritually. That's the most important thing for every one of us. We need to be ready spiritually. So we're going to get into the Word as we always do. Prayerfully contemplating these truths that set men free. Jesus said, if you continue in my word, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You got to continue. You can't just dabble in it. You got to delve into it. You got to dive into it. You got to be deep into it. You got to know it in and out in every which way. You've got to digest it. Meditate on it. That's what it talks about. Ruminate it. You got to chew it. Think deeply about it. Amen, Patty? Amen. Well, you keep on praying for us, and we've got so many things that we have been going here. It's crazy, distracting times that we're living, but thank God, he gets a hold of us and gets our focus back. Thank God. I just feel like the focus is kind of coming back here. So you guys keep on praying for us, and we keep on praying for you. And we will be back on the ministry channel. Don't worry. We're still ministering here as well. This isn't a disconnect. We're not doing something over there that we're not doing here. It's just a little more focused and a little more deep over there. So if you want to be a part of that, go sign up to the BP Ministries channel, BP Ministries. You can check it out by doing a search, or find the link somewhere and connect to it. All right. In the meantime, guys, God bless. Love you all. In Jesus' name, we pray, Jesus, for your protection on everyone here, preparing our hearts for the things that are coming upon this earth. Help us to see clearly with vision, that eyes that see, that ears that hear, that hearts that perceive, and that power that comes from the Most High rest upon all of your people and deliver them from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. Amen. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you.